Hello everyone and welcome to the topic reading. When we say reading, we are talking about reading comprehension, which we usually face in many competitive and academic exams. First of all, when we say reading, we have to automatically process and understand a given piece of text. So when we try to understand the text, we have to understand its vocabulary, meaning that we have to understand the meaning and the use of the words given in the text. As we understand the words, we have to understand the sentences, and in the sentences, how the clauses and the phrases, or let's say the phrases are structured, and then we have to understand the paragraph, and in the paragraph we have to see and understand how the sentences are being organized in a logical manner and the theme of the paragraph as well. So coming to comprehend means to understand a piece of text. First of all, we have comprehension is interpreting all the text features, and when we say the text features, we are talking about the literal meaning as well as the inferential or implicit meaning. So literal meaning is the surface meaning, but when we talk about inferential or implicit meaning, we have to, first of all, we must have a general or prior knowledge of both the content that is given to us as well as the text. And for that, and in that process, we have to understand and try to understand the author's purpose and intent with the text, and what is the author's assumptions. This also we have to understand. And what is the effect of the author's choice of evidence, choice of examples and all given in the text, we have to understand that one. And the completeness of the author's information, is it complete or not, how complete it is, we have to understand it completely. And the effect of their choice of sources of evidence, this we have to understand. And apart from that, we have to understand reasons for ambiguity, if any is there, and the bias, if any. Usually such things happen in what do we call this, argumentative text usually, or sometimes we call it critical text. And then the presence of stereotyping or propaganda, as well as judgments about events and judgments about characters and motivations, which we usually find in narrative text. We have to understand this one. Apart from that, we also have to understand reasons for and effects of literary device, if any is there. So first then let's come to styles of reading. When we talk about styles of reading, we are discussing only three styles here. Number one, skimming, then scanning, and in-depth reading. We need to know all the three styles of reading. In a reading comprehension, usually we apply the first two, but the third one also sometimes is required. So coming to the first one, skimming. What do we do with skimming is we skip read. We skip, and how do we skip read? We skip read by reading only the headings and the first sentences of each paragraph or sections of the text. Why do we do this? Because we don't need to read the entire text completely in order to understand the text, or let's say the theme of the text that is given to us. So that is the reason why we have to skip read, because we don't have all the time. So skimming, we usually have three kinds of skimming. Number one is preview skimming, followed by overview skimming, or number third, review skimming. So let's talk about preview skimming first. So preview skimming, here usually such preview skimming is usually followed by another skimming, or maybe an in-depth or thorough reading again. And this preview skimming is used in selecting a book. When you go to a bookstore and you want to buy, we cannot read the entire book. We have to do preview skimming only to see whether we can buy the book or the book is beneficial to us or not. So this use. Another one is in surveying a chapter before reading or studying that particular chapter in detail. By preview skimming, we can see whether that chapter is worth reading or not. And another use is in finding appropriate material for use in research. Particularly in masters and PhD, we use this a lot. And in sorting through correspondence before answering it, usually in business, we use this one for business correspondence. And now, how to do preview skimming. First of all, read the first paragraph. Then after we complete the first paragraph, go to the headings. And then the first sentences of later paragraphs or sections. We don't need to read the entire text. And coming to overview skimming. Overview skimming is a little more thorough compared with preview skimming, but the steps are very much similar. So let's see here more. When we do overview skimming, when we don't to read that particular text again. So how to do? Let's see. First, read the first paragraph, just like in preview skimming. The headings followed by the first sentence of later paragraphs and sections. So till now here we see that overview skimming and preview skimming is the same. But in overview skimming, we have one more step. That is that we have to alert ourselves with the structure and content of the material through an awareness of paragraph patterns, thought transitions, and clue words. We do this because we don't intend to read the text again. Whereas in preview skimming, we have to read again. Now coming to review skimming, is the title suggests view again. So it's reading again, viewing again. So we use this process to refamiliarize ourselves with material that is previously read thoroughly or skimmed earlier. So how to do this review skimming? First of all, this text is already read. First of all, we try to remember or recollect as many of the ideas and details clearly before beginning, as we have read earlier from the earlier reading. Then after that, you start reading, you start skimming, and you stop only when you come to not certain significant details like names, places, and terms that you are looking for. Then only you stop there and you take the notes. Then you establish in your mind a sequence of events or a procedure or a skeleton outline to clarify the structure of the whole text that is given to you. This is how we do review skimming. So that much for skimming. Now let's come to scanning. Scanning is another very important step, particularly in reading tests. So what do you do in scanning is that you search through the material for a specific purpose or specific information. This information we are searching, usually it happens to be the answer for the questions that is given after the text in reading test. Why? To find the answer to the question that is given after the text, or let's say to seek an appropriate quotation for reference for our statement, particularly in research for this one. And for locating names in a directory or word in a dictionary or your prices in a catalog, for all this we use scanning. So scanning is only locating what we are looking for. And how do we do scanning? First of all, fix clearly in your mind what you are looking for. Means first read the question, keep the question in your mind, then you search the answer, anticipate how the information will look like. So we have to imagine how the answer would look like, and we have to search it. So run your fingers down the middle of the page or backward and forward across the page, searching or scanning only for the word that information that you are looking for. After that, let your eyes follow this, seeking the particular target. Once you reach that target, you get the answer. Now coming to in-depth reading. This in-depth reading is the most involved and essential reading of all the reading types, and this is better done after we finish skimming, because when we do skimming, we have a very quick idea of the theme of the text, After that, we can do in-depth reading. In-depth reading is less common in reading comprehension tests. So the purpose of this in-depth reading is to gain deeper meaning and comprehension of a text. Usually we use this to research detailed information for an assignment that is given to us, as well as to read difficult sections of a text. And how do we do this in-depth reading? How do we enhance our in-depth reading? There are certain strategies here. First is REP strategy, reader strategy, 5S method, as well as SQ3R method. So first of all, REP. Here R stands for read, A for ask, P for put. So what we do in REP strategy is, first we read the text. After reading the text, we ask ourselves questions about the text. And then what we do is we put answers to the question. Then you have completely understood that particular text. Now let's move on to the next strategy, reader strategy. Here R stands for read, I for imagine, D for describe, and A for add. So first of all, we have to read the text. After the text is read, we have to imagine what we have read. After imagining what we have read, we have to describe it ourselves by recollecting. Then add more details if you have, and you can review again later on. Now coming to 5S method. First of all, in 5S method, what we do is we skim the text. We skim the text to get the theme of the text. Then we scan. We scan for looking for the answers or information, particular information. Then we select. When we get the word, we select it and we slurp. Means we completely understand the given text, and then we make a summary of the text. That is 5S method: skim, scan, select, slurp, and summarize. Now coming to the last strategy, it is SQ3R. First of all, we survey the text for a quick reading. Then we question ourselves. We put questions based on the reading. Then after that, we read slowly once again the text. Not very slowly, but slowly enough, fast enough, but a little slowly to understand the text, so that the questions that we had earlier can be answered. And then we recite and make notes based on our, let's say, detailed reading. And then we make a review of what we have taken note. That is SQ3R. So that much for these strategies of in-depth reading. Apart from these strategies of readings, we came across sometimes extensive reading and intensive reading. These are different. These are used in different purposes. First of all, intensive reading, we usually use it with long text, not intensive, extensive. Whereas in intensive, usually we are given short, let's say shorter text in exams, of course, but for research and all, sometimes it might be long text also. And in extensive reading, we read a large amount of text or a large amount of books. And whereas in intensive reading, whatever is given to us, whatever is required, we read it carefully, and we have a deep study, a thorough study of the text. And extensive study, the purpose generally is for general understanding and pleasure. Whereas intensive reading generally is for maximum understanding and academic purposes. So that much for different kinds of reading and strategies. Now let's come to reading test. Here there are certain strategies suggested for reading test, how to conduct, or let's say how to appear for a reading test successfully as quickly as possible. First of all, be acquainted with the directions. You don't need to read the directions for every exam. If you are acquainted with the directions, that usually happens with reading tests, you can just skip it. Then You have to decide whether to read the text in depth or not. Most of the time, in-depth reading is not so much required. Now, suppose the text that is given to you and you are not, let's say you're not familiar with the topic. Don't worry about it. You can still solve the test very easily. And don't waste too much time when you come across an unsure question. You have an unsure question, just leave it for the time being, move on to the next question, and then come back to it again before the time is up. And when you come back, you complete it by guessing if you don't know from the context. Then you have to do that before the time is up. So how to do, let's say, the complete procedure of a reading test. First of all, skim and determine the main idea. You are given a text, you do skimming. By doing the skimming, you can understand the theme of the, or let's say the main idea of the text. Once you have that pattern and the main idea in your head, you move on to the question. Look at the questions and you come back to the text again, at the same time keeping in mind the question, and you scan for the answer. And what the answer would look like, you have to already imagine by looking at the question, since you have read the question. So you scan for the answer, and then when you find the answer, when you find the information, read carefully only that area where that information is there to answer the question, and then choose the best option and move on to the next question and follow the same procedure. This is how we do reading test. So let's have a practice. So for practice, I brought here a small passage here of let's say of only 3 paragraphs. Here, let's begin. So first, we will do skimming. Here we see that obsidian is a distinctive type of igneous rock that forms as a result of the melting of deep crustal granite rocks into magma. So here we see this is about what this is this obsidian. So this paragraph is about obsidian, what obsidian is. And coming to the second paragraph, we don't need to read the remaining sentences. Come to the second paragraph, first sentence. Obsidian is generally found in small outcrops, though large masses of it can be found in a few notable locations. Yes. From this, we come to know that this second paragraph would be about where it is found. And coming to the third paragraph, because of its properties, obsidian was prized in many ancient cultures. From here, we see that the third paragraph focuses on the uses of obsidian. So we have done skimming, and now we have know what the theme of this passage as well as what the paragraphs contain. Then we come to the question. The question here, what is stated in the passage about obsidian? You see here, the options are given here: cooling magma, crystalline, sedimentary rock, dolphinous. Okay, like this, you have this. Then, but usually we have to come to the first question. Okay, question, not to the option. What is stated in the passage about obsidian means what is obsidian? From here we see that the answer would be found in the first paragraph. What? So we'll come to only the first paragraph. We don't need the second paragraph right now. From here we see that it is formed from the speed at which magma cools. Okay, then crystallization doesn't occur, so it is not crystalline. Then it is shiny black. Okay, now that we have these terms, we can go back to the question. From here we see that number B, crystalline. It is not crystalline, it is not sedimentary, and it is shiny, not dull. So the answer is only this one, number A. It results from rapidly cooling magma. Now that we finish this one, we'll move on to the next question. Question number 2 says the word side in line number 10 is closest in meaning to. Okay, now line number 10, side is here. So here, two sites here are given here. Wells Caldera in New Mexico, Wells Caldera, and another site is Glass Baptist in Oregon. So here you don't need to know much in detail about this Wells Caldera, which is a mountainous region in northern part of New Mexico. We don't need to know all this. We just know that this is name of a place. Two sites are there, which is one in New Mexico, one in Oregon. So it means two sites means two places. So the answer from here we see it is the site is closest in meaning to places. Now that we finish question number 2, let's move on to question number 3. Question number 3, it can be inferred from the passage that obsidian would least likely have been used to make here. What to make? A spear, an arrowhead, a ring, or bell. Now come back to the question once again. See here, least likely means not likely. So this is the use of obsidian. The use of obsidian is in the third paragraph. So first paragraph is about obsidian, what it is. Number 2 is where it is found, and number 3 is its use. So we'll come to the third paragraph. We don't need above section, only the third paragraph is enough. From here we see that because of its sharp, it has got sharp, razor sharp edges, and is used for hunting weapons, and is used in jewelry and other embellishments. From this we come to know that in the answer you see here, a spear is for arrowhead is for hunting, ring is for jewelry. So only one is left, which is least likely to be made of, that is a belt. So this is the answer. Now coming to the next question, again like this, we'll come to another question. Where in the passage does the author discuss the variety of colors in which obsidian is formed? So colors means here we'll talk about the qualities or what obsidian is. So from our skimming, we see that option number C, this one we don't need to read because this will here these lines are in the second paragraph where we'll find about the location or where obsidians are found, and lines 18 and 20, this is about the uses of obsidian. So we have only two areas to look, line 1 to 3 and 5 to 7, which should be in the first paragraph. So we don't need the entire passage, we'll go only to the first paragraph. Okay, second paragraph, let's cover it up. Okay, so it's about color. So it's here we see when we scan it, we see shiny black here, golden and silvery sheen, and even rainbow of hues. From here we see that the colors are mentioned in line number 5, 6, and 7. So the answer is number B. This is how we complete reading test. And these are the books that I suggest that you should have a look at. Number 1 and number 3, these books will give you a lot of examples about solving this reading test. And number 2, Word Power Made Easy, this one by Norman Lewis. This one will help you improve your vocabulary. That much for reading. Thank you.